नमस्कार दोस्तों और आप सभी को स्वागत है इन माय चैनल 1971 वॉर बुक सीरीज। आज हमारा जो स्पेशल पॉडकास्ट एपिसोड है, यहाँ पे आने वाले हैं एक लेजेंडरी वीर चक्र अवार्डी ऑफ द इंडियन एयरफोर्स स्क्वाड्रन लीडर पुष्प कुमार वैद, जो बांग्लादेश की आजादी के लड़ाई में मेघना हेलीब्रिज ऑपरेशन में अपना एग्जाम्पल सेट करके गए हैं कि कैसे हेलीकॉप्टर्स का इस्तेमाल करके भारतीय फौज और भारतीय एयरफोर्स मिलके पाकिस्तानी फौज का खात्मा और भी जल्दी कंप्लीट किए इन लिबरेटिंग द बिग एरियाज ऑफ सिलेट एंड रीचिंग वेरी क्विकली टू ढाका। ढाका तक पहुंचने में भारतीय फौज के 4 कोर को जितना टाइम लगने वाला था उससे कम टाइम लगा ड्यू टू द यूज ऑफ द Mi-4 हेलीकॉप्टर्स। और इस 1110 हेलीकॉप्टर यूनिट के स्क्वाड्रन का फ्लाइट कमांडर थे दिस लेजेंडरी पायलट स्क्वाड्रन लीडर पुष्प कुमार वैद। एज अ फ्लाइट लेफ्टिनेंट ही सर्व्ड इन द वॉर एंड उन्होंने भारतीय फौज के 4th बटालियन ऑफ द 5th गुरखा राइफल्स रेजिमेंट को सूरमा नदी क्रॉस करने में मदद किया टू क्लोज इन एंड कट द पाकिस्तानी 313 एंड द 202 इन्फेंट्री ब्रिगेड्स इनटू पीसेस एज दे एडवांस टुवर्ड्स सिलेट। और भारतीय फौज के 4 गार्ड्स एंड द 10 बिहार रेजिमेंट को ब्राह्मणबारिया से नरसिंगदी तक एयरलिफ्ट करके ले गए थे, crossing the Meghna River and helping the Indian Army get closer towards Dhaka and eventually liberating Bangladesh. आइए आज हम सुनेंगे about the experiences in the war directly from the man on the air. Let's welcome Squadron Leader Pushp Kumar Vaid.
So I'll start with how you actually become a commissioned officer in the Indian Air Force and how you started flying, your entire flying career and everything. So let's start with that, sir.
Yeah, I joined NDA in January 1959.
1959.
Yeah, and we did 3-year training in Pune. Okay. And then we went to the flying college in Jodhpur, Air Force Flying College.
Okay.
And we did 1-year training there. Just when we were finishing our training, the China War took place.
Okay.
So the Indian Air Force realized we had no helicopter pilots. So they came to our squadron and said, all the cadets, and asked for 20 volunteers.
Okay.
So, and the carrot was that we'll get commissioned straight away, that is 3 months early, and we'll go to UK for training.
Okay.
So I put my hand up along with 19 other youngsters like me.
Okay.
And within about few days, literally about 5 or 6 days, I think in January it was, January, 14th of January, we suddenly got rushed off to UK. And today is actually 14th, that's 60 years ago exactly, we landed in London.
60 years ago, I mean, right.
Exactly 60 years ago.
Exactly, yeah. 60 years ago. So, and that is how you got commissioned in the Indian Air Force.
Getting commission, usually it's a big ceremony for commission, but we were rushed to air headquarters, and one squadron leader was attached to us.
Okay.
His job was to get us passport, get us visa, and put us in the aeroplane, and get us commission also.
Okay.
So in 2 days, in 48 hours, he got us passport, he got us visa, he got us the tickets, and he got us commission as well.
Okay. So
in 48 hours.
Okay, so you were a pilot officer just within 2 days.
Yeah, it was incredible. We were just running around in circles in Delhi, trying to get everything organized.
Okay.
I had to talk to that squadron leader. He did a wonderful job.
Okay, so after that you went for training and then you came back. Did you take part in the 62 war?
No, we didn't fight in the 62 war. 62 war was already finished by the time we came back.
Okay.
And then we went to Tezpur for doing our training.
Okay.
Onto the bigger helicopter, the Mi-4 helicopters, which I flew for the 11 years in the Indian Air Force. And so that training was about a month in Tezpur. Then Chabua was where I was based, which is the farthest away on the eastern side of our Indian Air Force. The last post of the Indian Air Force was Chabua.
Right. So, when did the Indian Air Force get the Mi-4 helicopters for service?
Yeah, they got them in about 62 time. Just when the war was going on, they started coming at that time.
Okay. And you started flying, I mean, getting trained for flying the Mi-4 helicopter.
Yeah, in 63 when we came back from UK.
Okay. So, that is also incredible. Then that is how you actually became a helicopter pilot. So, you mostly went into flying helicopters, not fighter jets or anything else.
So, no, I just wanted to fly. It didn't matter what I was flying.
Okay.
I had no particular interest in any type, fighters. I was not one of those guys, no, I must do fighters, or must do transport or whatever. Whatever came my way. And I was fortunate. I think helicopters were the right place for me to be. And I thoroughly enjoyed being in the helicopters.
Wonderful, wonderful, sir. And so coming to the 1971 war, I think I should also ask, like, where were you actually during the 1965 war? Did you take part in that conflict as well?
No, eastern side there was hardly anything. Most of the fighting in 65 was in the western side.
Western side.
I was in Chabua, so we used to get sirens every now and then, and we had to switch out the lights every now and then, and that was all, nothing else.
Okay. So that's regarding the 65 war. So
yeah,
coming to the 71 war, the actual action started, I guess, from 3rd of December. Before that, where were you posted and what were you doing?
Well, whole of 1971, we knew the war was imminent. Especially when the refugees were coming into India, and Indira Gandhi was making plenty noises, and she was going all over the world asking for help.
Okay.
And so we were quite aware that something is happening in Bangladesh. I mean, East Pakistan. But we also heard Manekshaw was delaying it because of the rainy season coming in June, July time. Okay. We didn't want to go to the battle during the rainy season, because in Bangladesh, as it is full of rivers, and rainy season is complete chaos over there.
Right.
So and that is a very wise thing Manekshaw did, and he told PM as well, we don't want to fight during the war or during the monsoons. So it was postponed to autumn time. Okay. And by the time we got message, I was the flight commander of my unit, and by the time we got message that we must do more training, must do night flying, must do low level flying, land at unprepared helipads. So that's what we were doing. We were teaching all the youngsters who would come to my squadron. Low level. Low level means flying at about 100 feet off the ground, which is great fun, for kids, especially going through trees and going through the valleys and, beating up the places. So for kids, it is good fun. I mean, we were kids only, I was the 30. Everybody else was 24, 25, so it is really great fun doing all that, and then landing at night, landing night training. So we were absolutely prepared for by the time the war arrived. We had done plenty training.
What was your squadron, the Air Force squadron that you were serving in at that time?
We were in Kumbigram, 110 helicopter unit in Kumbigram, in Sylhet area, next to Sylhet.
Okay, and you were a flight lieutenant, right, sir?
Flight lieutenant, yeah. So I was the 2IC of the squadron. That means ops manager. I was running the show.
Okay.
Yeah, I was running. It's called flight commander in the Air Force, and it's basically an ops manager who gets the orders, plans the aircraft, plans who's going to fly it, and where are they going to go, and what is the task. So that is what I was doing.
Okay. And your squadron commander was?
Squadron leader Sandhu.
Sandhu, right. Okay. So that was all before the 3rd of December 1971. And you were at Kumbigram.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the war was declared on Pakistan, so what were your things regarding? I mean,
we were told to disperse all the helicopters, because they didn't want all the helicopters sitting on the runway. They thought if sabers come, Pakistani sabers, they could attack some of our aircraft. Okay. So we sent 4, I think, to Telimara, where the FOCO was General Sagat Singh.
Okay.
And others were dispersed in Ejal and Imphal and places like that. So that I think only 1 or 2 aircraft which could not fly. 2 aircraft could not fly, and one spare one was at at Kumbhigram. All the others had been dispersed, and I was in Kumbhigram myself. Everybody else left. My boss said that you stay in Kumbhigram and you man the base. I said yes, sir. Yeah, so first 2 days I was not in the war.
Okay. You were back at base.
Yeah, I was at base.
Okay.
And only on the 5th I got a message, because by now we were so short of pilots in the war zone, because we had so much flying going on. And he realized that no point Mike sitting in the base. I might as well come and join everybody else.
Right. The first orders regarding, I know that you are the main person, one of the main person behind the Helibridge operations. You took part in both helping the Gurkhas cross the Surma river and the Meghna river as well. So I know that the Surma river crossings came first. So can you tell us about the developments and how did you take part in that?
I'll give you the small brief. Okay. See, from 3rd December, our main job, all the helicopter job, was to do communication flights. That means if brigadier wants to go somewhere, general wants to go somewhere, we should take them, to wherever they wanted to go. Also, carry arms and ammunition and soldiers to wherever the army wanted us to drop them. Battle zone, and a lot of battles were going on, small battles. They hadn't, even before the war started, we were already, FOCO was already inside East Pakistan. I think nearly month and a half, they had already started going into East Pakistan.
Okay.
So battles were going on, and we were helping. Wherever we could help, we were helping. And then also casualty evacuation. Anybody who's injured, anybody who's not well, so we used to go and pick them up and bring them to the hospital. So that was our job till 6th of December. And then on 7th of December, 6th evening, 7th morning, we were told to move to Kalashar for the Sylhet crossing, to go taking 4-5 Gurkhas to Sylhet. Okay. So we moved 8 helicopters. I had 8 helicopters from 110HU, and then 4 joined us from Chabua 105 helicopter unit. So we had 12 helicopters total. 12. Out of those 12 helicopters, we were told to take 8 to Kalashar, which is on the border of East Pakistan, and leave 4 in Agartala for communication flight and casualty evacuation. So we left 4 in Agartala, and we took 8 to Kalashar. Okay. And from there, we reached there about 9ish. And then my CO and
this is on the 7th of December,
Group Captain Chandan Singh, they went for survey of where we're going to be landing, at Kalora and at Sylhet. So they selected the helipads, and then they came back, and then we were told to move to Kalora, which is now in East Pakistan, but under Indian control. And they said 4-5 Gurkhas are coming there. So we got there about 12 o'clock. They said the army will be coming very soon. So we were waiting there out in the enemy area, but of course under Indian control, till 2:30 before the army started arriving.
Okay.
So when they started arriving, I already briefed my pilots that as soon as they come, we'll fill up first helicopter, get airborne, then keep a gap of 2-3 minutes, and then the next one will get airborne, then the next one will get airborne, then the next one. So I was number 1, and everybody had a number 1 to 7. We used 7, even though we had 8 helicopters. We used 7 because 8th one was kept for casualty evacuation.
Okay.
Casualty evacuation was always important. We didn't want any injured people in the field or any dead bodies in the field. We should bring the dead bodies back as well for proper rites back at base. So that is how we started about 2:45, and we had fuel for 3 trips each.
3 trips.
Yeah. Okay. So I was the first one. I landed at Sylhet. I dropped my passengers and the load, got airborne. And the second one, we didn't want more than 1 helicopter in the enemy area. So, that's why we had a gap of 2-3 minutes or 4 minutes between each helicopter.
Okay.
So after I dropped my load, I got airborne and I started coming back. And then the second one did the same. The third one did the same. By the time 4th or 5th helicopter went, Pakistan army has started surrounding where we were landing, and they were firing at us. But our army had nicely spread out as well. The people we had dropped, they nicely spread out and deployed themselves so that they were keeping the enemy at bay. They were not letting the enemy come closer. And so by the time I reached back again to pick up my next load, the last helicopter had already gone, and I just followed them. So we made like a circle, and we kept going. And by the time I reached the second time, the amount of firing that was coming towards us intensifying. And by the time we reached the third time, wow, the amount of bullets were coming from everywhere. And of course, by the time we had also dropped 250 soldiers, so they had nicely deployed themselves everywhere. And of course, BBC announced as well that we had dropped a brigade, and brigade is 2,000 plus soldiers. So Pakistani army didn't come near the helipad because they thought we had dropped so many people.
Okay. So.
And later on, we came to know that the Pakistani army had 7,000 soldiers over there.
7,000.
Yeah, they had two brigades there. So anyway, after it was 6 o'clock, it was getting dark, and some of our helicopters got hit. Occasionally odd bullet will come and hit. So some of them got 4-5 bullet holes as well, but nobody was injured, and none of the helicopters got grounded. So we came back and we landed, and we shut down, and the engineers were checking everything up and checking the fuel and refueling the helicopters. Got them ready, but 7 o'clock we were ready, and we told the group captain that we're ready for the next operation. Now it is pitch dark, it's completely dark right now, because in Bengal, in Assam, it gets dark quicker.
Yeah.
And December time especially. So we were waiting, and the group captain said, it's too dangerous. You guys are too slow and too slow. Anybody can shoot it down. And he was in an Alvet flying overhead when we were doing the operation. So he could see what was going on. So he could see 100 bullets, he could see thousands, literally, the whole lot. So he said, "Nahi, subah jayenge, we'll go in the morning." And of course, that upset the brigadier. He says, the war doesn't stop just because it is night, We only dropped 250 soldiers. And the Pakistani के पता नहीं कितने लोग हैं वहाँ पे, 5-6 हज़ार होंगे. उनको भी पता नहीं था exact number, but it was large number. We knew there were 2 brigades over there, and so the big powwow took place between group captain and the brigadier, and then they spoke to General Sagat Singh also, and then they said, okay, we'll send one helicopter and see what happens. If it comes back, we'll send the others. So he came to me, because in the meantime I told all my pilots to go and sleep, because we were literally working 24/7 all these days. So we're not getting time to sleep. So I told everybody to sleep, and everybody is sleeping. I was probably sleeping as well. And then about 11ish, I got a message from Sagat Singh, from Chandan Singh, to come and see him. So I went and met him, and he said, get one crew ready, and this is what we're going to do. If this helicopter comes back, we'll send the rest of the helicopters. So I said, okay, sir, I'll go myself. So I came to the crew room and I said, I need a volunteer to come with me. 32 pilots put their hand up. Can you imagine? Everybody had seen the bullets. Everybody knew it was the dangerous to be going, and it was night as well. So anyway, everybody put their hand up. I picked up one of the pilots, flying officer Kant Reddy, and then we picked up a flight engineer. We had three crew, 2 pilots and 1 flight engineer.
Okay.
And pilots never got out of the cockpit, because when you get out of the cockpit, you're taking time. So pilots stayed in the cockpit. Flight engineer's job was to handle the passengers. So, and we didn't have clamshell door. The doors at the back of the helicopter had been removed. So everybody was handled by the flight engineer. He made sure that load was correct. He made sure everybody is sitting properly. We didn't have seat belts. We didn't have seats. They were sitting on the luggage, on whatever freight was there. We used to load up the freight first and then crawl in and sit everywhere, wherever they could find place. We were carrying about a dozen passengers every time, about 1 dozen troops every time, and they load. And so they had not even taken their HF radio. So we had no contact with the 250 odd soldiers that we had dropped over.
Okay.
So we didn't know whether they were still alive or not, And I had seen the helipad in daytime. We knew where it was. It was across the river. There were 2 bridges there, and roughly where it was. But nighttime everything is different, you know, and there was no moon also. But river, of course, is always visible. So I had a fairly good idea where I was going to land. But then if you're half a kilometer outside where you landed before, you're in enemy territory,
Right.
you know. But with God's grace, I was hoping I'll find the right place and drop them. So when I got airborne, suddenly I got a radio call. And I was so happy to hear this voice. He was flying off the Surma. He was the liaison officer between the Air Force and the Army. He had gone with the Army. He was in Sylhet and he had a radio. So I was so happy to hear his voice, and I was asking him what is the situation like on the ground. He says everything is quiet because it's night time, everybody is sleeping, and I'll light a fire for you. Then you'll know where to land. So he lit a fire for me, and once the fire was lit, I knew exactly where the helipad was. So I briefed my passengers. As soon as I land, everybody out within less than a minute, and that's exactly what we did. When I was going in to land, the bullets that are coming towards me. Now the bullets that I can see are the tracer bullets. So when you see one tracer bullet, means there's 4 bullets behind it. So
Right.
5 bullets are coming every time. So you see 1 bullet, and literally, as I said, I could see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bullets coming towards me. I was sure we'll have bullet holes everywhere, you know. Anyway, I landed. I dropped my passengers, got airborne very quickly. It didn't feel anything that something had hit us. You know, we didn't feel that anything had hit us, but we could see the bullets. So once I got airborne, I asked my flight engineer, go and have a quick look at how many bullet holes we got. So he went around with the light on and the torch on and everything. And after 2 minutes with a big grin, he came back and said, "Sir, you'll be surprised we don't have a single bullet hole." I was flabbergasted. I was shocked, amazed, and happy that nothing had hit us. And the reason was we were out of range.
Right.
And second was they could hear the helicopter, they couldn't see it. Pakistanis. So I rang up base on the radio. I said, "Come on, guys, these people don't know how to fire. We're all going in." So they all started getting ready. So I came running back. I picked up my next load, and running back again, dropped my next load, got airborne again. We had fuel for 3 trips each. Got airborne again with no bullet holes. Came running back, picked up my 3rd load, went running back again, dropped my 3rd load, got airborne again. When I got airborne the 3rd time, I saw my fuel gauge was showing 0.
Zero.
But the engine was running and the rotors were running, so obviously we had fuel. Just probably the gauge was not working. So we were praying to whoever's up there, take us back home, and we got back home. And the engineers opened the panel and they saw one bullet had come through the helicopter front engine area side and then hit the cable going through the fuel gauge and stopped. Actually, the bullet stopped also. Bullet stopped about 3 feet in front of me, you know, and it broke the cable. So my engineers changed the cable and then they put fuel in my helicopter. And then the 4 helicopters that got ready in the meantime. So they started flying and I joined them. So we were 5 of us flying whole night. And next day we were flying. And the 9th morning we were flying. So by 9th morning, 9th December 71, we had dropped nearly 900 Gurkhas and their artillery people as well, and their ammunition and their food and their radio, the whole works, whatever they wanted. The whole of 4-5 Gurkhas we dropped. And then we were told to go back to Agartala, which was our base. So we came back to Agartala.
Okay.
And I told all my pilots again, go and sleep because, you know, we had been working 24/7. So everybody went off to sleep. Others probably sleeping as well. And then about 10:30, I got a call from Sagat Singh. They come, I want to show you where we're going to operate that night. See, once he saw how efficient we were and how quick we were in delivering the soldiers to Sylhet, he said, "I'll go to Dhaka." That was his aim. The army aim, the Indian Army and Indira Gandhi, Government of India aim was capture as much East Pakistan as possible. They never thought they can get the whole country. So their aim was they'll get half.
Okay.
You know, they'll get half. And but Sagat Singh was the only one who had one track mind. I'm going to go to Dhaka. He said, no point trying to capture half of East Pakistan, but that will not solve the problem. Because if we had half the East Pakistan and the other half was with Pakistan, what a mess it'll be. Imagine, it'll be worse than Kashmir.
Right.
So he had only one track mind. I'm going to go to Dhaka and capture Dhaka. Once I have Dhaka, the whole East Pakistan will fall to us. But he didn't tell anybody, And his briefing was that you look after Tirupura area at the border and go up to Meghna. Don't cross Meghna. That is his briefing. But once he saw what we were doing and how well we did in Sylhet, he said, now I know how to get to Dhaka. So he told us, I'll show you the next helipad, which is just across the river Meghna.
Okay.
So he had a little Alvet, 6-seater. The 2 pilots were sitting in the front, and Sagat Singh was sitting in the front. So 3 people in the front, 3 at the back. Myself, my CO, and my another brigadier. He came with us. So 6 people, and not very big helicopter. 6-seater. So we climbed up to 4,000-5,000 feet, and we saw the helipad where he wanted us to land across the river. Then on the way back, he said, I want to go and see the Coronation Bridge, which the Pakistanis had blown up because they thought the army will be crossing the river. So they had blown up the bridge about 10:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So on the way back, he wanted to have a look there. See, we had a look, and then we came down, and he told the pilots, this is all under Indian controls. So we started coming down. We were 1,000 feet. Suddenly we heard this noise, foot. Lot of bullets going through that helicopter. And so anyway, the pilot, one of the captain got injured on his shoulder, and the co-pilot took over, climbed away from there quickly, and we came back to base. And of course, I got out of the helicopter and started planning my evening. Where we were supposed to take out at 4 o'clock from Brahmanbaria.
Okay.
So I started planning my helicopters, my pilots. I started briefing.
Which unit was this that you planned to take across the Meghna River?
Yeah, that is what he was showing us. Where he wanted us. He showed us the helipad, Raipura helipad.
No, which unit? Which army unit that you planned to take across the Meghna?
Yeah, 4 guards. We took 4 guards to Meghna,
Okay.
and Sagat Singh was showing us where he wanted us to go.
Okay.
So once we came back to base, and I of course started organizing my helicopters and my pilots and everything, later on I came to know that there were 38 bullet holes in that helicopter. That means 19 bullets at least went through that helicopter, and 1 pilot was injured. 6 of us were sitting there. Sagat Singh got scraped right on his forehead over here, right in the front of his forehead. 1 bullet went right past him. It didn't hit him. It just went scraping his forehead. He had a small bleed, and he didn't think much about it. He just put his hanky there and cleaned it up. And but imagine 19 bullets went through that helicopter. Only 1 person was injured. 5 of us, nothing happened. Nothing. It didn't come anywhere close to me or my CEO or the other brigadier or Sagat Singh or the other pilot. And none of the vital parts of the helicopter were hit. Helicopter was still flying. It could have been destroyed in the air as well. If the bullets had hit the tail rotor or destroyed the engine or something, we would have crashed.
Right.
Very fortunate. Very, very fortunate.
Right.
So anyway, 4 o'clock, we positioned 8 helicopters at Brahmanbaria, and I briefed my pilots what we were going to do. And about 3:30 we were there. 4 o'clock, 4 guards were supposed to be coming. And over there we saw hundreds and hundreds of dead bodies. So we asked the local people what happened over here. And he said the stupid Pakistanis, when they were vacating that area, they gathered whoever was in front of them and shot them. No questions, just shot everybody. I don't know what the hell they achieved by shooting and killing everybody, men, women, children, the whole lot. They just killed them. At least 100 plus bodies or so. That's the only time I saw dead bodies, because that's the time we were flying.
Yeah.
We were never shutting down anywhere. And so anyway, after that, about 4
this
o'clock.
was on Bhairav Bazaar area, right? On the other side of the Meghna. Bhairav Bazaar.
Sorry?
This was on Bhairav Bazaar area, on the other side of the Meghna, right, sir?
No, Brahmanbaria was still
itself.
on the eastern side.
On the eastern side, okay. Then Ashu
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, not on the western side. West is where Raipura was.
Right. Okay.
Crossing the Meghna. When we crossed the Meghna, we reached Raipura.
Okay.
So 4 o'clock we started the operation,
Okay.
and then carried on the whole evening, the whole night, next day, the whole day. Nearly 1,000 soldiers we dropped at Raipura.
Okay.
And the briefing at Raipura, and of course, after Sylhet and after seeing the amount of bullets that are coming towards us, our army decided that any helipad we pick, we will be far away from Pakistan army. So Raipura, we saw lots of bullets coming, but they were literally 25, 30 kilometers away. So they couldn't come anywhere close to us. And the other two helipads we did later on, same idea. Sagat Singh made sure that the helipad was secure. Our army was already there, and so that nothing was firing at us. Nobody was firing at us. So we were very happy after that.
Okay.
So after Raipura, we finished. We came back again to Agartala, and again I told my crew, go and sleep and rest and everything. And then we were told next place we're going to go to Narsingdi, which is closer to Dhaka.
Okay.
And so from 10th onwards, 10th evening, 11th, 12th, 13th, we did that to Narsingdi. And again, about 1,000 plus soldiers we dropped there. Again, working 24/7. And now we have two more helicopters from Hashimara had come, 111 helicopter. So we had 14 helicopters. And so then following day we did Badya Bazar. The last 4 airborne operations we did. So the following day we did Badya Bazar.
Okay.
And again we carried about 4,000 plus soldiers there, about 1,400 soldiers there as well. So we in total 4,000 plus soldiers, 700 plus tons of equipment. And our helicopter could only carry 1.5 tons at a time. But we were carrying 2 tons, overloaded like hell. And we had no safety belts, we had no belts, we had no nets. We just loading it like a truck and getting airborne. And our flight engineer was the last one in and the first one out. And there was a big hole at the back of the helicopter. And that is where it's for quick loading and unloading. So we had removed the clamshell doors. So the big hole was there. Fortunately, throughout the war, nobody fell off, and we didn't lose anything. Quite incredible, absolutely incredible.
Absolutely incredible. Like running low on everything and managing to do everything overloaded.
Yeah, and not a single accident throughout the war. And I was the oldest. I was 30. Everybody else was 20. Youngest was 19. He just come from the flying training school, and we had trained them for the year and a half that he was with us. And incredible, absolutely incredible. And itna josh tha. Everybody was willing to go, and not a single guy came to me, sir, I'm hungry, I'm not feeling well, my stomach is paining, my this thing. No excuses. Everybody was keen to fly.
Everybody, right.
More than willing to volunteer. It doesn't matter what the danger was.
So at Narsingdi, you must have airdropped the 10 Bihar, and did you carry small artillery equipment as well for these?
Yeah, lot of artillery we were carrying. All the guns were broken up because you couldn't carry the full gun together. So they were broken up into pieces, put it in the helicopter, and then they offloaded on the other side, and then they were assembled over the other side.
Okay.
And carrying the guns is heavy stuff, very heavy stuff. And of course, but even the locals were helping. They had cycles, they had rickshaws, or whatever they had, bullock carts, whatever they had, they were helping to offload all the stuff. And of course, Bengalis realized that we were the good people. We were always, whatever, they came and gave us food. They came and gave eggs and fruits and bananas and stuff like that. And we would give them money. And they were surprised because the Pakistani army soldiers never gave them anything. They grabbed everything from them.
Right.
But we were giving them money for whatever we were taking from them. They were so pleasantly surprised कि ये इतने अच्छे लोग हैं, उनको पैसे भी दे रहे हैं.
Right. After getting to Narsingdi, how did you advance to Dhaka? Like, did you take part in any dropping troops or anybody into Dhaka city?
No, outside. We were all the time moving the people outside Dhaka, because Dhaka was not under our control.
Mm-hmm.
And then once everybody was sitting outside, and then the Tangel drop also took place. So that added another 750 odd soldiers from there. And so we were all ready. to go into Dhaka. And that is when General Jacob went to Niazi and told him, listen, my guys are standing outside and we can come in anytime. Either you surrender or you die. Because if we don't surrender, we let the Bengalis come in and butcher everybody. You know, and that's exactly what we were going to do. And they had no choice. Niazi had no choice. He was waiting for ceasefire. Everybody in Pakistan, East Pakistan, West Pakistan, were waiting for ceasefire. But of course, Sagat Singh moved so quickly with our helicopters that before UN woke up to the fact that the war was going on, or the Americans woke up to the fact that the war was going on, or the Britishers woke up to the fact the war was going on, we were already there. And before the ceasefire, see, if the ceasefire had taken place, that means Pakistan would have won, because Indians would have had to leave. And so we didn't want any ceasefire. We wanted to capture the place. Of course, we stopped firing. There was a ceasefire of sorts, but only temporarily. And as I said, Sagat Singh was already there.
Right.
And so they were waiting for the 7th Fleet. Nixon had sent the 7th Fleet from Philippines to come to Bay of Bengal. But in the meantime, the Russians sent their submarines in Bay of Bengal. So the Russians were already there by the time the 7th Fleet came. The 7th Fleet came and didn't come any further. You know, they were told to hold. And the Britishers are coming also with their ships to Bay of Bengal. Again, they saw the Russians already there. So they also stopped. They didn't want a battle between the Russians and the Britishers and the Americans.
Right.
So they stopped. They didn't continue.
Right. So eventually Dhaka had surrendered. So after that, what did you do in the war, sir? I mean, rest of
So first of all, the surrender ceremony was 16th, 4 o'clock 4:30 in the afternoon was the surrender ceremony. And the only way anybody could go to Dhaka was by helicopters, because the runway had been smashed by the Indian Air Force. And so the Elvets 6-seaters were used for the VIPs, and the Me-4s were used for the reporters. So I was told to take 5 Me-4s with the reporters. And the reporters had come from all over the world. They had all come to Agartala. There were men, women, everybody, and all nationalities. And there was no restriction who was going to go and who was not going to go. And I was told that people not flying will stay back. Only the people flying will be going in the helicopter. And I said, yes, sir. But I had 25 spare pilots and engineers. And I divided them to 5 each. And I put them in the helicopter first. I said, you go sit inside first before I load up the reporters. So I smuggled 25 pilots and engineers to Dhaka, because I didn't want anybody to miss the ceremony, the surrender ceremony, because we had put our life on the line, and it's once in a lifetime you get the opportunity to see something like this, surrender ceremony. And so I took everybody with me, all my pilots and all my engineers. And I said, if later on I'll tell the boss if he gets annoyed that I disobeyed orders, I would say, sorry, sir, but I didn't want any of my kids to miss such a good ceremony. So I took everybody with me. And then after the surrender ceremony, we came back to Agartala. In the middle of the night, we came back on the 16th, 17th morning. And then, of course, we were celebrating because the war was over. 17th, again, we went to pick up whatever was left over and whatever army wanted us to do. And then we moved back to Kumbhgram. But throughout, till March, Sagat Singh was there, and he wanted helicopters. So I was there myself for 6 weeks in Bangladesh, roaming around everywhere, and helping the army and government of Bangladesh. And we also had the opportunity to meet Sunil Dutt and Vaidya Rahman and Nargis and Lata Mangeshkar. They had come to entertain the troops. What a pleasure it was to meet them, And one place in Chittagong, Nargis and Vaidya Rahman were waiting to go to the stadium. So I had a little Beetle. Army had given me a little Volkswagen Beetle. So I said, sir, I told the madams, I said, come with me. No, I'll take you to the stadium. So they came as my passengers. Can you imagine having two wonderful ladies of our ideals of our time, Nargis and Vaidya Rahman, as my patient, as my passengers?
Right.
And I took that to the stadium.
Right. that would be really something exhilarating, I guess.
Yeah, and as I said, for 6 weeks I was there, but other helicopters were also there, and throughout December to March when Mujibur Rahman came, all the law and order was maintained by Sagat Singh. Our army maintained the law and orders. Imagine during the war, what happens? Looting takes place and raping takes place and all the crap that goes on. But he made sure everybody was under control. He got hold of the the Bangladeshi army, all the soldiers who were originally with Pakistan Army Navy, Bengalis. He made sure they were under his control, and he made sure the army, which was Pakistan Army, became Bangladesh Army, and the Pakistan Police became Bangladesh Police. Bengalis I'm talking about, not the West, not the Punjabis and Pathans and all that. They were all prisoners of war, but all the Bengalis were made back into the system, and he made sure that they kept law and order. So for the 3 months, by the time Mujibur Rahman came, the country was in stable position. See, imagine all the other wars that go on. What a lot of crap that goes on. You can see in Ukraine what's going on. You can see what's going on in Israel and Gaza and all that. But it was all Sagat Singh who managed to keep it. And after the war, when Sagat Singh came back, he put his head down and I think he retired and didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. I'm the boss. I'm the boss. I'm the boss. Didn't do anything. And the army also kept him under the wrap. Didn't even promote him. Didn't even give him a medal. He didn't get a single medal. He was only given a wound medal, because he was hurt. That's all. For winning Bangladesh war, Manekshaw claimed credit, Indira Gandhi claimed credit, Jacob claimed credit, Arora claimed credit. Sagat Singh was not even in the picture. For nearly 30 years, nobody knew Sagat Singh had done anything. It's only later on people started writing, veterans like me and all that, and all the other people who've been writing stories about that. Suddenly people realized it was actually Sagat Singh who did everything. But what I'm saying is he didn't take any credit. Sagat Singh didn't go and claim credit for anything. He didn't ask for any publicity. Didn't ask for any awards or anything. Nothing. And Government of India very conveniently forgot about him because he was disobeying orders. He was told specifically, Dhaka is not the target. We are not going to Dhaka. We are not going to Dhaka. We don't go to Dhaka. And Sunni Bangladesh government, now the present Bangladesh government, about 20 years ago, 15 years ago, was friendly at that time also. They honored Sagat Singh's son. Sagat died by that time. They honored him and they made him the freedom of Bangladesh, of freedom of the city or whatever they call themselves, and gave them the highest honors to recognize what Sagat Singh had done.
Our corps did a lot of fighting, most of the fighting, I would say.
Yeah. You see, the Sagat Singh idea was that wherever Pakistan army is based, we won't go there. So with the helicopters, we avoided wherever Pakistan army was because we didn't have to follow any roads. Helicopters were going straight line, cross country. So he avoided all the Pakistan army. So we didn't go anywhere near the Pakistan army.
Right. Coming to you, sir, you received the Vir Chakra during the war for your performances. Yeah. So you must have got it on the 26th of January, 1972?
Yeah, 72, I think, yeah.
1972.
Yeah.
So it was because of your performance and being right on the front line and airlifting the troops across the rivers.
It was when I volunteered into Sylhet. When Sagat Singh thought we'll all be shot down. And so that's when he asked me to get one crew ready. I said, I'll go myself. I'm not going to send kids into danger zone if I can't go myself, Right. So, and that's why I went myself. And I was the most experienced anyway, So that's why I went myself. And Sagat Singh was sure I was not coming back. 100% sure. And in fact, I think when I got airborne, he'd probably send my citation at that time only. So because within 9th or 10th of December, I already got the Vir Chakra.
Right. Wonderful, sir. Really wonderful.
Yeah.
After the war, sir, Could I know more about what you did in the Air Force and like where you served?
Yeah, see, I got promoted to squadron leader, and I was sent to NCC.
NCC.
So I was annoyed with the Indian Air Force that they're kicking me out of the Air Force. I said, obviously, they don't need me. And so I put my papers in to get premature retirement. And
Okay.
fortunately, they accepted my papers. So 1974, I left the Air Force. And
Okay.
I started writing to every Tom, Dick and Harry, give me a job, give me a job. And British Airways offered me a job in UK as long as I got a British license. So I said, okay, I'll come to UK and get my British license. And that's exactly what I did. I went down to UK in November of 74. 3 months, I did my studies, I did my exams, passed everything, got my British license. And from April on, for 6 months, I did spraying while I was trying to get my work permit. We needed a work permit to work in UK. So I got my work permit, and then British Airways employed me from December 71.
Okay. Then you were a commercial pilot, right, sir?
Yeah, they had helicopter division, just like Bombay High. They had rigs offshore in North Sea. So
Okay.
that's why we were flying to the North Sea.
Not sea. So it was
Yeah,
basically in places where there were oil rigs, right, sir?
yeah. Oil rigs were there, just like Bombay High.
Just like
Bombay High, we
Bombay.
have oil rigs. Same idea.
Okay. So, and you were flying, I mean, which kind of helicopters? Not the Mi-4s, of course.
I started with Skorsky 61,
Sikorsky
which
61.
is a lovely helicopter, beautiful. And you see, after flying Russian helicopter, the Western helicopters are very comfortable, and they had autopilot, they had navigation aids and everything. In the Russian helicopter, we only had a little magnetic compass. That's it.
Okay.
Nothing
Okay.
else. No other navigation aid. And we had don't have autopilots also. It was all manual flying. But it was lovely. The Me Force during the war didn't let us down. They didn't become unserviceable. They kept flying. We didn't have a single accident. Absolutely amazing. And so hats off to the Russian helicopters. Absolutely hats off. Even though they were basic, but they did the job wonderfully. And as I said, and I flew helicopter Me Force for 11 years. And anytime there was going to be trouble, they would always give us enough warning. Hey, something is going on. Go and land somewhere. So we would always land before anything meant to happen to the helicopter. So we always had plenty time. And so, but when I flew the Skorsky 61, then I went to the Chinooks, then I flew the Skorsky 76, then I flew the Dolphins. I've flown about 10, 11 different helicopters.
Okay. Wonderful, sir. That's a really exquisite flying career, even after leaving the Air Force.
Yeah, I flew British Airways 20 years, then I left them and joined a Dutch company, Schreiner Airways, and we were working out of Nigeria. So we
Okay.
were doing 6 weeks and 6 weeks, 6 weeks in Nigeria, 6 weeks at home. So it was like retiring slowly. It was wonderful, very nice.
Wonderful flying career, sir. Really wonderful.
Yeah, Nigeria at my time was very peaceful. There was no problems at that time at all.
Okay. How is your present life going and how are you doing in life after leaving flying completely? Because I mean,
I do a lot of charity work. I'm in Rotary also. Rotary group. Rotary is all over the world. They do a lot of charity work, the community work, international work, and I volunteer everywhere. A lot of places I volunteer. And when you volunteer, you learn something new, and you meet some wonderful people, and it's just great fun, and it keeps you occupied. And I do a lot of cooking. I do a lot of fundraising.
right.
Indian cooking I like. Punjabi food I cook, and we're cooking for 200 people, 300 people, 400 people, raising funds. And a lot of volunteers to come and help me cutting the onion, ginger, garlic, and all that sort of thing,
Wonderful,
to
sir.
make the khana. And it goes like treat. It's great fun. And we raise 2,000-3,000 pounds every time we do a function like this. And then there's another group I volunteer called Patient Partner, where you pretend to be a patient, and students are coming and experimenting on you. Third year students, fourth year students, fifth year students to come and experiment on your body. And I'm given a scenario: your chest is paining, your left arm is paining, your left leg is paining, and then the students are supposed to go inspect you, and then they diagnose what is wrong with you, and the teacher would come along and tell them, okay, हाँ, ये ठीक है, ये ठीक नहीं है, you know, that kind of thing. It is great fun. I thoroughly enjoy myself, you know. And this is in the Aberdeen Royal Infirmary, Aberdeen Teaching Hospital, you know. And then I also volunteer for what is it called, Scotland Charity Air Ambulance. We have a helicopter who goes all over Scotland picking up patients. And so I volunteer, I go give talks wherever to raise funds because they need £6 million every year to run those two helicopters.
Okay.
So it is one of the things I do. I go raising funds for them, you know, wherever there's an opportunity. Then there's a charity called Grampian Opportunity. We look after handicapped people, mentally handicapped people. So I volunteer there also. So I keep myself occupied, you know. And then of course I love golf. I play golf and I travel. So it's great fun. I think if you keep yourself occupied, then there's no time to become miserable and sick or anything. You know, you stay healthy as well.
Right, sir. So I met you in Dhaka in December 2023. So this was your first time after the war visiting Bangladesh, or?
Correct. After 52 years, you know, we went for 5-6 days, and courtesy of Bangladesh government. Wow, what a treat they gave us! You know, you were there as well. And what a treat! It was wonderful,
Yeah.
and it is fun. I'm actually trying to go back again because I met some of the Air Force guys, the Commodores, and they had never heard of my kahani. You know, so I tried to send them books, but I don't know what happened to those books. They never reached them. I posted them, but they never reached them. So I'm on the 16th. I'm going to the air headquarters, and I'll give it to them, and then they'll send it through the diplomatic channel, you know,
Okay.
through the air attaché, and then the air attaché can hand over those books to them.
Right. Wonderful, sir. That you are,
Yeah.
talking about, your part of the war and the Indian Air Force part of the war to Bangladesh people.
Luckily, I met this gentleman Uni Karta,
Wing
then
commander.
he,
Wing
and Wing Commander Uni Karta, who's the co-author. And he knew far more people than I knew because I left the Air Force and I migrated to UK. And I forgot about the war because new country, new job, children growing up. So till I retired, I never told anybody what we had done. So when I retired, I got hold of air headquarters and I said, "What do you guys know about me?" And they had no record. They had zero record of what we had done. So I started writing articles and sending them to whoever was willing to listen, but not many people were willing to listen to me, you know. And then, as I said, I met Uni Kaka, and he started telling everybody. Then he invited me to come to Hyderabad where he was living. So he arranged for me to give a talk to College of Air Warfare in Secunderabad. And there were 50 group captains sitting there when I was giving my presentation. And they were pleasantly surprised that we had done all this and they had no idea. And they had been in the service for 20 years. They had never heard that story, you know. So they rang up the air headquarters, and a chap called Vikram Singh, Air Marshal Vikram Singh, he came to my house, my sister's house, and in Gurgaon. And then I gave him all the notes and everything. Then he put it in the air headquarters note. And since then, you know, the word's been spreading.
Right.
So that is how, when I requested for meeting with Air Chief, he offered me, you know, to see me. Normally, very difficult to see the chief of any army, navy, air force, you know, because they're so busy, you know. And this gentleman spent nearly 45 minutes with me, 45 minutes with me. You know, it is such a pleasure. So I was telling him, sir, I want to go to Bangladesh also. I want to give presentation there also. So let's see if it happens, you know. And of course, here also in India also, I want to present to army also. At the moment, I'm only doing air force because I have no contact with army per se, you know. So I'm trying to find out ways of getting hold of army as well. So, you know, and you see, in Sagat Singh, in his wisdom, first thing he did was he told the army and the air force, I want helicopter unit to attach to my unit for the war. And that is what they did. So 110 HU became part of OCOR during the war. No other unit, no other army asked for helicopters. They were taking helicopters as ad hoc. एक हेलीकॉप्टर भेज दो हेलीकॉप्टर भेज दो. Sagat Singh ने कहा नहीं मेरे को सारा स्क्वाड्रन भेज दो, you know. And we were attached to him. So army didn't have to, FOCO didn't have to go to Eastern Command every time they wanted a helicopter. He could directly tell us, ye karo, ye karo, ye karo, which saved so much time.
Right.
his foresight was wonderful. He'd already ordered the maps in June of 71 from Dehradun. You know, there's a agency, Indian agency, which produces maps for the Bharat. So he'd already ordered Bangladesh maps from that agency and had already got them in June, July. So he already had the vision, because I'll be needing maps to fight in Bangladesh. We had no maps. We had maps from 1930s and 40s, which the Britishers had made. Our Air Force had no maps.
So the other thing I would like to ask you, sir, you are involved in the Helibridge process, taking care of like airlifting Indian Army units. Did you ever come across any freedom fighters or Mukti Bahini formations?
Yeah. They were part of the army. All the freedom fighters are part of the army. I didn't physically meet individual people. I didn't even meet the Indian Army people because I was sitting in the cockpit. Everybody was just jumping in and jumping. The only person who was in touch with all these army and Bangladeshis and freedom fighters was our flight engineers who were handling the passengers. Otherwise, pilots never met anybody. You know, we were just sitting in the cockpit because we didn't want to get out of the cockpit because that wastes time, and we had no time. We had no time to weigh anything. We had no time to write anybody's name. We had no time for any of these things. And there were a lot of arms and ammunition lying around all over Bangladesh, East Pakistan, because Pakistan were fleeing and they were leaving arms and ammunition. And all my pilots were picking up whatever they could, like souvenirs. And they even had grenades stuck into their belts. So I had to go and tell them, hey guys, give me the grenades. You know, I don't want anybody walking around with grenades, because if one pin comes out, all of us will get blown up. You know, so we collected everybody's grenades and we gave them to the Indian Army. You know, but anything else, I had a rifle. I picked up a rifle. I think 12 or something. I picked up somewhere. I don't know where it went. You know, because we had no place to keep. We had no room to stay in. You know, during the 2 weeks of the war. We had no time for toilet, we had no time for food, we had no time to sleep. The only time we got to go to the toilet or to go to the food was when the helicopters were getting refueled. So whenever we brought the helicopter to Agartala, we had about half an hour to run to the toilet, to run to the food. Once we finished all that, the helicopter will be ready and we'll jump into the helicopter and start doing our operation.
Right, sir. Just so little time and just doing everything within that time. And then flying again.
Yeah, and Sonabi, you know, wherever there's a gap between two flights, people used to sleep. Even in the helicopter, we were sleeping, you know, every now and then. Because if there's a gap, often we were ahead of time waiting for the army to come. So whenever we were waiting for the army, we used to all go to, I told everybody, soja jaake, you know. That is the only way we could get some sleep.
Right. And you must have those, the flight logs and everything that you noted down regarding carrying amount of troops.
Yeah. I had a little diary. Pocket diary. I used to make notes of everything that is going on daily and who I was detailing for the next day and the next day and the next day. And in the end, when we came back to Kumbhigram, we made detailed report of what we had done. And I had a record of individual flying every week, every day, daily flying. Who was the captain, which acre they were flying, from where to where, at what time. So that diary, that file, I still had it. And I only just gave it to United Service Institute to keep for safekeeping. Because I thought if it is lying in my house, it will get destroyed, you know, when I conk off. I gave my diary also to the United Service Institute. They have a room there for 71 war. So they're keeping it in that war, you know, in that room. You know, for posterity, forever. Right. And I think that is the safest place to keep.
Right. That is also like such an explicit piece of history.
Yeah. I don't know how diary and the file. I have no idea how I had it even after 50 plus years. You know, it is still lying in my cupboard.
Right. Still, that's why it should have been there. Like it should have. It should have been in a place where the history is recorded and kept forever.
Yeah, in United Service Institute in Delhi, they have a huge area. You know, they're big historians and they investigate and they check and they keep and everything. So that's what they're doing.
Right. So And you also had an accident in a Chinook while flying a Chinook aircraft,
Yeah.
right, sir? Can you
Yeah.
tell us a bit
Yeah.
about that?
You see, the Chinook, you seen the Chinook helicopters? The Indian Air Force has got them as well. And they're the twin rotors, the big helicopters. And the civilian ones, which I was flying with British Airways, was extended version of the same Chinook. Air Force has got smaller ones. All the Army, Navy, Air Force got smaller Chinooks. We had the extended version. Extended version could carry 44 passengers
Okay.
and 3 crew, so 47 people on board. And it had a toilet. It had a luggage compartment, just like a normal airliner. We used to have 2 pilots and 1 flight engine, one cabin attendant, and like steward or stewardess, and their job was to look after the passengers. We could serve coffee, tea, whatever. We had the facility, and the Chinook was the only helicopter I've flown. And in spite of my accident, it is still the best helicopter I've flown because it has so much power. It didn't matter how much load we put in it, didn't matter how much fuel we put in it, we still had spare capacity.
Okay.
Very rarely any helicopter had that capacity. Those 2 engines we had were wonderful engines, and we had 6.5 hours of endurance. It's like an airliner. You go to the oil rig. If you can't land, you can fly all the way back to base. Most of the time, you have not enough fuel to go anywhere. In UK, the law was that we should have enough fuel to go to the rig. If we cannot land, we should be able to go to land helipad somewhere. And it's usually very near the rig, the land helipad. But in the Chinook, we could come all the way back, no problem. We had so much fuel. 6.5 hours of endurance we used to have.
Okay.
So very wonderful helicopter, absolutely wonderful helicopter. So what happened? And I'd been flying for 5 years by the time the accident happened. So beautiful helicopter. And what happened was we had, if you've seen the Chinook, it's got 2 engines at the back, and then there's a shaft which goes on top of the body, and one shaft goes to the back of the body. The shaft goes to the back of the body, turns the back rotor, and the shaft goes to the front of the body, turns the front rotor. So the one which goes to the front is going along the surface of the top of the body and then turning 90 degrees. So where it turns 90 degrees, there's a little gear sitting like this, turning on the top, and that gear is called bevel ring gear. And that is attached to the shaft with 24 nuts and bolts. So our engineers found that every now and then one nut would get loose. In fact, one of the bolts had come off in one of the flights. So they found one special grease called Presto grease, and they used that grease, and that stopped the nut getting loose. So once the engineers found the problem, they found the solution, they told Boeing, this is the problem, this is the solution, and it's working. Boeing said, no, we will tell you what to do. We are the manufacturers. You don't do anything on your own. So they said, we'll modify the gear. So they modified the gear. They made bigger holes and bigger nuts and bolts, and to put it in there. But what happened was the surface of the gear was still the same, but the holes are bigger. That means the metal was less. So in my view, I'm a non-technical guy. That made the gear less strong. That's my view, but not the technical view. But anyway, what happened was they also removed the washer. There was a washer with every nut and bolt, and they removed the washer. So when the washer was removed, the fluid from the top of the gear could not go to the bottom of the gear. The fluid I'm talking about is the sea air. We used to fly over the sea. When we come back on the rig to the base, helicopter is pushed in the hangar. The sea, the moisture will condense and become water, and it will stay on top of the gear. And earlier on, the previous version of the gear, there was a washer there that allowed the water to creep through and come to the bottom and go to the sump and then get drained away. But with the new modification, without the washer, the moisture used to stay on the top, it'll become water, and then it became acidic, and that was eating the gear away,
Okay.
And the other thing Boeing had done was, we used to open the helicopter every 300 hours. After flying 300 hours, open the gear, check everything is okay, and then put it back again. That means one day the helicopter had to be grounded But Boeing said, no, now with the modification, you don't have to do every 300 hours, you can do it every 1500 hours, you know. But my helicopter accident happened after 650 hours, roughly. And if they had opened it at 300 hours, they would have seen straight away that something was wrong with this gear, you know. If they had opened at 600 hours, definitely they would have seen. Because once my accident happened, they opened all the other helicopters, six Chinooks, all of them were ready to crash. Mine was just the first one, you know. So they had to they put the old gear back, and then we were flying them again. So my helicopter on the 6th of November 1986, I had a job to do to go to Brent Charlie and Brent Delta to drop 40 passengers, 20 in each, and bring back 44 passengers. And last minute they added Brent Alpha to drop 10 kg packet at Brent Alpha. So that added 10 minutes flying to my trip. My accident happened 2 minutes before landing. If the last addition was not made, I would have been on the ground before the accident happened. And the second thing was my co-pilot, Naval Nixon, he was 43 years old. He had gone to York. His wife was setting up a shop, chemist shop. And so 3 years he didn't fly. He was helping her to run the shop. So shop was running beautifully now, and they were making profit and everything. So he told his wife that I'll go back flying. You know, I'm redundant over here now. So he had just joined us 6 months earlier. So for 3 years he didn't fly. You know, 3 years he stayed in York, didn't fly, and he came back just 6 months earlier. And another thing was that we had two sets of crew, morning crew and afternoon crew. I was the morning crew. My co-pilot was Mike Stanley, but Naval Nixon swapped duty with him because morning crew did 2 flights and evening crew did only 1 flight. He says, I want to do 2 flights because he had not been flying for 3 years. So Mike Stanley said, no problem, you can do my duty, I'll do the afternoon duty. So Naval Nixon was not even supposed to be with me. You know, he shouldn't have been with me. And 6th November, we got ready about 9ish in the morning, and we got airborne. I was the handling pilot. We share the flying. So handling pilot is the one who's flying, and the non-handling pilot is the one who's doing the radio work, doing the paperwork, maintaining, watching the instruments, making sure everything is okay, you know. And he's the one who's talking to everybody, getting the loads and how many passengers are coming back and how much fuel we need and all this sort of thing. So I was the handling pilot, and I went to the Brent Alpha, I went to the Brent Charlie. These are oil rigs belonging to Shell. Then we went to Brent Charlie, Brent Delta. Then I handed over the helicopter to the co-pilot. He became the handling pilot. You know, once you're the handling pilot, your back is not resting. You know, you're holding the controls and you're maneuvering the controls. So when you're not the handling pilot, your back is resting.
Okay.
This becomes important as the story goes on, you know. My back was resting and his back was not resting on the way back. It was a beautiful day, 11 o'clock, 10:30, 10:25, we got airborne and we were heading back. And 2,500 feet, beautiful chit-chatting. Autopilot हमने on कर दिया था. You don't have to do anything. You know, the helicopter will fly on its own. And so when we 10 miles from the Shetland airport, I told my company we're coming into land. Then I told Shetland, Surma airport, I need clearance to land. And he cleared us to descend down. We came down to 500 feet and he'd given us clearance to land. And there is AC rescue helicopter based at Surma airport. And every morning, 9:30, they go for training. And for some reason, on that day, 6 November 86, they went for training at 11:30. And my accident happened at 11:31. So, we started descending, and this guy got airborne at 11:30. 11:30. And my accident happened at 11:31. Otherwise, he would have been taking off at 9:30 for training. And if he had taken off at 9:30, he would have gone back, he would have shut down. And once my accident happened, they would have told him, get airborne quickly. 5-10 minutes to lagte unko, you know, by the time they get ready and get airborne. So that would have been another 10 minutes for me to be sitting in this cold north, you know. So that is another coincidence for me, personally.
You were the only survivor here.
Yeah, you know, all these little things add up for survival. And then started hearing this noise, and we were discussing a noise kahan se aa raha hai. It didn't sound dangerous to us, and we didn't know what was going on. And so we said, abhi to land karenge, so we'll tell our engineers to have a look at the sound before we go for our next flight. So our second flight was half an hour later. So we're not worried. And the flight engineer had, our cabin attendant had gone and checked all the passengers, and he came in and gave us thumbs up, and he told us everything is okay at the back. Then he heard us talking about this noise, and he said, "Yahan se aa raha hai." The gearbox was right on top of him, the front gearbox. So even he was not concerned about it. He didn't feel it was dangerous. And then he opened the door to go and sit down on his seat for the landing. But I don't think he had time to sit down, because after he opened the door, closed the door, there was an almighty bang. What had happened was the front gear was breaking up all the time, and the noise was the front gear breaking up. So when the front gear was breaking up, the front rotor was slowing down. So when the front rotor was slowing down, they intermesh. The front rotor is going, say, clockwise, the rear rotor is going anti-clockwise, and they intermesh. 60% of the rotors are overlapping each other. So once the front rotor slowed down, they hit each other. The rotors hit each other. And when the rotors hit each other, rear rotor and along with the gearbox parted company from the helicopter. Nearly 4 tons of the helicopter disappeared from the helicopter. Now there was nothing holding the rear end of the helicopter. So the rear end fell down. We were doing 100 miles an hour. Suddenly we were doing 0 miles an hour with the nose pointing upwards, as if I'm in a jet aircraft, flying to the sea, to the sky. And so that is the time whiplash happened. 100 miles an hour, 0 miles an hour. My co-pilot, because he was the handling pilot, his back was not resting. He got a huge whiplash and he broke his neck. Because I was the handling pilot, my back was resting. I got whiplash, but it didn't break my neck, because my back was resting. And now we are at 300 feet and the helicopter is pointing up. I grabbed the controls and I pushed them all the way forward. And the front rotor was still working. Front rotor was still attached to the controls and still responding to what I was doing. And front rotor is on top of the cockpit. So it turned the cockpit over. It flipped like this. It broke from the main cabin. But the floor was still attached. Now we are pointing towards the sea. Okay. Earlier on, we were pointing towards the sky. Now I'm pointing towards the sea. I thought the whole helicopter was behind me. Actually, only the cockpit was pointing towards the sea, but the cabin was still going backwards. So when we kept going down, and we hit the water at about 100 miles an hour, by the time we hit the water, and water is like concrete once they hit the water, and half the helicopter completely smashed, and my cockpit broke off from the main cabin, and it just dived in. So all the force was taken away by the main cabin. Nothing happened to the cockpit. It just broke from the main cabin and it fell into the sea as if I had fallen from 20-30 feet. Very gentle. I didn't feel anything when we went to the water. Throughout the journey coming down, the front rotor had hit the cockpit also and broken the windscreen, and all the debris was flying in from the left side, and my left side of the face was completely cut up with the broken pieces. My nose was broken, but nothing hit my eyes. My eyes were fine. Amazing. So when you went in the water, it kept going down, maybe 30 feet, 40 feet, it stopped. And the wind, my window, the emergency window on the right hand side, next to me, flew off on hitting the water. And so there was a big hole there. So I knew which way, and of course the brilliant sunshine, absolutely brilliant weather, no wind, no rain, nothing. So I knew which way I had to go out, So I came out of my seat. Now we have 4 belts, and they're locked. 2 straps over the shoulders and two straps over the thighs, and they're locked. And I never opened the lock. And one strap on my left shoulder was broken, and now obviously I can't break that strap. And nobody could tell me how the strap was broken. I have no idea who broke the strap, Because if some blade had cut it or something, it would have cut my chest as well, or my shirt as well. But it didn't. It didn't cut anything, And the strap was broken, and I physically cannot break it.
Right.
So anyway, I didn't unlock anything. I just swam out of it, and without any struggle, and I came through this window, climbed to the top, and I was very cold, very very cold, and holding on to the wreckage. I found a piece of wreckage. I was holding on to it. Then one body popped up, another one popped up, another one, 8-9 bodies popped up next to me, and they were not doing anything. The first time it occurred to me that these people didn't make it. Because I was alive, I didn't think anybody else is dead. It never occurred to me that anybody's dead. And then I was waiting for this AC rescue helicopter to come and pick him up. So AC rescue helicopter, after getting airborne, the control tower told him, look out for the Chinook, he's on the finals. So he turned around to come towards where we were. He said, but I can't see the Chinook. He said, no, he's on finals. I just gave him clearance to land. The rescue helicopter said, sir, I can't see any Chinook, but there's something in the sea. I'll go and have a look. So within 10 minutes, he was all overhead. By the time I was in the water, about 15 minutes roughly. So they came over. I waved to them, and they picked me up and put me in the rescued helicopter. And the passenger who survived, he was sitting in the one seat right behind me. And there were two of them sitting there. Only one of them survived. How or why, we have no idea. Why didn't the other one survive? No idea at all. And this guy had zipped his suit up. We have a survival suit which is sealed completely. He had zipped it up completely. So his suit was full of air. So just like me, he also went down 30 feet, 40 feet underwater. And then the water threw him out like football, underwater. So he reached the top. When he reached the top, he was unconscious through all the journey down. Something had hit him and he was unconscious, because in the cabin so many things are flying around. So he was unconscious completely. So when he reached the top, one wave came and woke him up. One dinghy inflated next to him. He caught hold of the rope, tied it around his hand, and then he passed out again. And then he heard the helicopter picking me up. Then he opened his eyes and he waved. So we went and picked him up as well. So two of us were in the helicopter, rescued helicopter. And we were looking for 45 more people. The crew were looking for 45 more people. And another helicopter had got airborne to help. Another boat had been launched. We were only 2 miles from the runway, So boat had been launched to do the rescue. And I was also wearing survival suit, but my zip was open. Because my zip was open, the survival suit was full of water. So I told the crew, can you cut my socks off so the water can come out? But it took a little while for him to understand what I was telling him, because it was so much noisy. The helicopter was so noisy. So eventually he realized what I was telling him. So he cut my socks off. So the water came out. Now my temperature was dropping, and so were the other passengers' temperature was dropping. Now hypothermia was setting in. And so we were closing our eyes and not making any movement. So he went and told the pilot, sir, let's take these two people to the hospital. Otherwise, they'll also conk off, So they rushed us to the hospital, which is about another 10 minutes away from there. And we reached Lavik Hospital, and they cut our clothes off and they wrapped us up in a tin foil so our body can warm ourselves up. So we were warmed up, and after about half an hour, this wonderful gentleman talking to me in Hindi. The doctor was from India, can you imagine? Chatting away with me in Hindi. And so I asked him, any more survivors? He said, no, just the two of you. I just couldn't believe that only just, and there was no reason for two of us to survive. Absolutely zero reason, And the engineers who came to do the investigation, he kept telling me, how the hell did he come out of that helicopter? How did he survive from that helicopter? There was no reason for us to survive. And I not only survived, within 3 months I was medically fit. Within 4 months I wanted to fly. But my company said, no, we'll give you a pension. You go and sit at home. I said, no, what am I going to do with a pension? I'm only 45 years old. So I didn't want pension. I said, I want to fly. So they sent me to this psychiatrist, that psychologist, make sure I still had a brain. Because after such a big accident, They didn't think my brain will be normal, and so everybody gave me thumbs up. And then in April, November accident one, April I started flying again. So I flew for 20 years after that.
Right. Such a marvelous story, sir. Like story of survival. Such a marvelous thing.
I've had 9 lives, and I'm on my next 9 lives now.
Right. I hope you make it through the 9 lives as unscathed as possible. It's really wonderful to talk to somebody like you, sir. Especially
No,
having
my pleasure.
so much flying experience, especially regarding the 71 war, and finally being honored after 52 years, I guess, in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
I hope they call you again and give you another honor for what you have done for their liberation. And I hope
I love telling my kahani. 100 people come and ask me, I'll tell 100 people, this is my kahani. Even if I meet just one person like you are talking to me, I'm happy to keep talking. I have no problem, my pleasure.
And I hope that they also, the Bangladeshis also get to know what you people and the Air Force have done.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And we'll catch up again. I'm looking forward to meeting you soon.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, you can send them to me. I can always answer them.
I will, sir. I will.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Speak to you later.
Meet you
later.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye.